Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Power of Practice podcast, Cause and Effect.
Welcome to the Power of Practice podcast with Matthew Tweedy. Discover how to leverage the potential of your unconscious mind so you can create an abundant and empowered existence. Here's your host, Matthew Tweedy.
This episode is exciting because it's really about setting up a framework of thinking that, well, for me was transformational in my life. And let me clarify, that's not past tense. This is a way of thinking and a frame or a lens that I view my world through on a daily basis. In assisting me to take responsibility in areas that I normally would have shied away from, because taking responsibility is often uncomfortable. So I guess it might be nice to know up front that, the concepts that I'm going to be covering in this episode are not necessarily popular ways of thinking, but they are, in my opinion, some of the most powerful ways of taking control back in your life through a manner of really taking responsibility rapidly and being able to pivot from that responsibility into maximum personal power. This concept that I'm going to be speaking to you about today is a fundamental, because it is so important to enable you to be able to get the results you want in life, to become empowered, and more than anything, take responsibility. So you can hold on to your power rather than giving it away. This particular concept is a fundamental to all of the change that I assist my clients to achieve in the clinic day in, day out. And it also encompasses some of the rules that I adhere to in my own world that have assisted me to create the kind of results that I want to and desire to, that I previously couldn't or certainly did not prior to utilizing this particular frame or belief. Now, the frame or belief that I'm covering, of course, is cause and effect. What is cause and effect? Well, it's an equation. So often in my particular school of NLP, we would write cause and effect. C, then a greater than symbol, E. Now, cause and effect really is about gaining maximum power in your universe to take yourself to the next level and to increase your empowerment. Now, the ancients knew that you take responsibility for everything that happens in your universe. So it's all about responsibility ultimately. On one side of the equation, the C side of the equation, we have results. So it's all about creating the types of results you want to and being totally empowered. On the other side of the equation, the E side, the effect side, well, that's where reasons live. And I don't know about you, but when I get to the end of my life and look back from age 90, 95, and look back on my life and just reflect on what I've done and what I've achieved, and did I really, measure up to what I had initially set out to do? I don't want to be looking back with a whole bunch of reasons as to why I didn't. It's also where regret lives too, and I don't know about you, but I certainly don't like that feeling too much. So a major thing to remember is that cause and effect is not about fault or blame. Sometimes when people look at being a cause and talking about cause, they might start to think that they're actually referring to being at fault or blame if they are at cause and take responsibility, then it's an open invitation to play the blame game. But it's far from that. So I just want to make that abundantly clear from the start that being at cause has nothing to do with blaming oneself or being at fault for things that go wrong. More so, it's about taking maximum responsibility and knowing that at that place of responsibility, that seat of responsibility, this gives us the option, the openness, and the availability to be able to change and create the types of results that we want to in our everyday lives. So how does this actually relate to us in the physical world and the physical reality? Well, a really crude or arbitrary way of looking at it would be, imagine I'm holding a kettlebell. I know it's quite heavy, so you would be well aware if it dropped on your foot. So here I am holding a kettlebell and I'm dropping it on my foot. Now, the fact of the matter is, I know I'm the one dropping it on my foot. The fact that I'm aware of that pure and simply means I am at cause. Now, some people live their lives at this side of the equation, at least most of the time, while some people live on the other side of the equation or tend to find themselves there and don't realize that they actually have a choice to move from that position. Those are the type of people that are saying to themselves, well, who keeps dropping this kettlebell on my foot? Why is this thing on my foot? Well, when I'm at cause, I can have a look at my hand and realize, hey, maybe I'm not gripping this thing right, or perhaps I need to pay more attention and know that I'm creating this result. Being at the other side of the equation, well, in this example, creates a world of pain. So let's have a look at how this relates to us in the here and now. So if you can imagine me standing in front of you, and let's say that the future is right in front of me. I represent my understanding of the future, or I represent my future and future events to be in front of me, while I represent my past to be behind me. This is ultimately a representation of my timeline that we'd refer to in NLP, but basically it's how your unconscious mind metaphorically stores time. So here I am with my future in front of me and my past behind me. Now, whoever you are right now in the current moment, you are the sum total of all of the decisions that you made in the past. That's a combination of all the decisions that you made in the past, everything you've done, and the sum total of everything you're thinking about doing in the future. And those two things have collided into what we perceive as now. And at some level, whether consciously or unconsciously, you decide to experience exactly what you're experiencing now in the present moment, either by instantaneous decision, the now, or something you've done in the past, or something you're thinking about doing in the future, which means that at some level, you create everything around you. So even if it was to do with something that we call an accident, well, you were there. And people do often get confused about cause and effect. And they'll ask me, Matthew, so that accident that I experienced a week ago, or to take it even further, the 2007-2008 global financial crisis. So what you're saying, Matthew, is that I created that situation? No. That's not what I'm saying at all. You see, the ancients knew, well, they didn't actually believe that they had that much power to cause an event like the GFC. What they did know was that they were in control of what they experienced. And if you experience something, one thing you're definitely in charge of is your reaction to it. And the reaction really is what we're talking about. So when I'm at effect, the way that I'm reacting is associated with being disempowered, frozen, stuck, basically not having any options. And we all know how wonderful that feels, being stuck with no options. But that's ultimately what happens. When we're at effect, things are really happening to us and we don't have any power or control over them. Being at this side of the equation is certainly something I don't like to feel. It's not a place that I ever want to be. And we can bring ourselves into cause really quickly. You see, if I'm feeling that something's happening to me or perceiving that things are happening to me, it was the boss that made me feel that way, it was the government, it was my parents, it was all of those things, and I keep pushing all of that stuff outside of me. Well, guess what else I'm pushing outside of me? Ultimately, what I give away is my personal power. And I'm not sure about you, but I personally want to hold on to as much of that as I possibly can at any given time. Another aspect is really about the choice that we have at any given moment. You see, when we're at effect and sitting at that side of the equation, we don't have any choices. You see, if nothing was our creation, how can we choose to uncreate it? While on the other hand, or the other side of the equation, if we are presupposing that we created everything in our universe, then we get to be in total control over that. Just by pretending that we created something, we can uncreate it. So how can you quickly and easily get yourself onto that cause side of the equation and take your personal power back? Well, the first step is awareness. We really do need to become aware of the fact that we're at effect in the first place in order to get ourselves back to cause. So when you are in a situation in your life where you feel that something's happening to you, the situation has occurred and you've got no control over it, or that person did that thing and now they made me feel that way. The first step is to catch yourself in the moment. Once you've noticed that you are at the effect, it's all about the language that you use with yourself. A very simple way of languaging this to bring ourselves back to cause goes like this. Once you've noticed you're at effect, then ask yourself the simple question: if I am truly the creator of my universe, what would be the purpose of me creating this event or this negative situation? Because I created it for a reason. So if I did choose to create this, what would be the purpose of this and what can I choose to learn from it? Now, instantly by asking ourselves this type of question, we get to be at cause and also extract the learning. And it's taking the learning that allows us to step out of effect and step directly into cause, into our own personal power. So that's cause and effect. Cause and effect is saying, I'm responsible for what I'm getting in life. And there is a really good side to this, because if you're responsible for what you're getting in life, when you take responsibility inside and get at cause, well, all of a sudden you realize that this world outside of you is your projection. I'm going to talk about projection and perception is projection in another episode. But the main thing you need to know is that you are projecting this world around you, and the person that is in charge of this is you. So from a simplistic standpoint, if we just look at cause and effect as reasons versus results, on the effect side of the equation, we have reasons. The reasons why you don't have the things that you want in life, why you're not creating the energy that you want in your life, why you're not experiencing the relationships or the financial abundance that you want in your life. And on the cause side of the equation, you have results. So it's a measurement of reasons versus results. And when you move from the effect side to the cause side of the equation, you increase your results and become empowered. So thanks so much for tuning in. And I'm going to ask you another favor. Go ahead and subscribe, please. Just go ahead and subscribe, rate and review the podcast. You know, the quickest and easiest thing to do is to subscribe. It'll take you only a few moments and it'll really help me to reach a broader audience, but it's also going to ensure that you won't miss out on any future episodes. I'm thanking you in advance for this assistance and keep growing and evolving.